Hey, it's Lauren. Today's video is a celebration of all of my favorite makeup staples that all fit in this tiny little bag. And I am so excited to share this with you because these are a lot of tried and true staples that last all day long for me, that leave my makeup looking absolutely perfect from the time that I put it on till the time that I take it off. In this video, you're going to see some Clé de Peau, Westman Atelier, Guerlain, Jones Road Beauty, Chantecaille, Dior, Hourglass, Trish McEvoy. There is a whole roster of awesome star players in this routine. So without further ado, let's get started. First up, I'm starting off with the Clé de Peau Radiant Cream Foundation. I absolutely love this stuff. If you missed my Clé de Peau video, I will go ahead and pop that up here for you, but I only need a tiny, tiny pea-sized amount of this for my entire face. I wear the shade 030 Medium Ochre, and what I like to do is I just dot this around my face, concentrating mostly on the center. What I love so much about this foundation is that it gives me really beautiful coverage. It cuts some of my redness while still looking very skin-like and not settling into fine lines and pores. And the other feature about this that I think is really special is the fact that it's not going to oxidize. They really put a lot of thought into the formulation to prevent this from oxidizing. I'm just using a Sephora 56.5 brush. This is like their little travel brush. It's a super cute compact brush. I love this for liquid and cream foundations, blushes, contour, and you're actually going to see me use this for all of this today. Part of what I love so much about my routine is that I have really streamlined everything, and like I showed you, it can all fit in this little bag, which is honestly ideal for travel. Look how beautifully this foundation just melts into the skin. It is so gorgeous. I had mentioned it in my Clé de Peau video, but I have been using a lot of Clé de Peau skincare, and I've noticed a huge improvement in my skin. The overall just tone and clarity, it just looks brighter, more supple. I have been so happy with their products overall. I think eventually I will do a skincare video. I just want to finish up some samples before I make the full-size purchases, but I have to say it's all phenomenal, and I don't know the last time my skin has looked this nice. Next, I'm going to use the Clé de Peau Radiant Corrector for Eyes. This is a little click pen style. I usually do about 2 clicks. I wear the shade Beige, and what I love so much about this is it gives you more coverage than, say, like the Yves Saint Laurent Touche Éclat. I do a little bit right here where I have some blueness, any little blemishes. I like to do a little bit of brightening around my nose just to sort of lift out that shadow. Sometimes I'll do a little bit on my nose and a tiny dot on my chin just for extra brightening. Now again, I'm going to use this same little brush because I find it incredibly versatile. And if you are someone who is traveling and you don't want to have to bring a million different brushes, you could basically just get away with this one, and I'll show you how. Look how that just disappears. Like, I think this concealer is so amazing because it does give you this brightening effect under your eyes, but there is enough coverage as well that any little blemishes you have just sort of disappear. But it never looks cakey or heavy. Just put a little on that. Nice brightness through the center of the nose, a little on the chin. Now I'll go in around my eyes, using a bouncing and stippling motion instead of a swiping motion because it's going to help give a bit more coverage. And then because this is just a slightly tighter area next to my eye, I'll use my finger to pat that in. So light, lifted, brings those shadows up. Now, I'm going to share my little trick with you of how I get away with using one brush for my foundation, my concealer, my contour, my blush. So my little secret is get one of these little makeup eraser, like portable wipes, get it a little bit damp, and then swirl your brush on it because it's going to take a lot of those excess pigments off. It's not going to completely clean your brush, but it's going to keep it from getting muddy on your face when you apply different products. Next, we're going to do a little bit of sculpting. Now, I have used different contours over the years, and I find myself coming back to the one from Westman Atelier. I get the shade Biscuit because it just has the right undertone of coolness to it. And I find this one blends in so much better than most contours. A lot of them end up looking really patchy. This one just, it's so creamy that it never does that. Now what I like to do is I kind of find where that point is where my hair starts to grow and angle down from my cheek. You can also see I do have quite a bit of a strong natural line there. So I struggle to shift my contour placement because I already have a lot of cheek that creates a natural contour there. So again, finding that little point of hair, kind of going right above it. Could even drag this down a little more right there. The other thing that I like to do, my nose is uneven. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's a little more, there we go, bulbous right here and concave on this side. So to create balance and harmony for my face, I will oftentimes take a little bit of contour on this side that is a tiny bit more bulbous and just pat this in just to create the illusion of balance. Very soft and subtle. And then the other thing I'll do, I'll put a little bit up here, but I skip this area that is already naturally a bit more concave. And then the other thing that I've done recently is I've done just like a little dot, like under where that curve of my nose is. Very soft, very subtle. We're not doing anything crazy here. The other thing I'm going to do, I'll take a little bit of this on my brush. I don't like to do this directly on the skin under here because I find that it can be a little too intense for my liking. Just kind of finding where we get that little buckle of a fat pad. Take that there and then underneath like this. It brings it in a very natural way without looking overly makeup-y. Now let me show you how this blends out on the cheek. I just find this formula to be so incredible compared to so many that I've used. I always really try to drag this up into that hairline for the most natural appearance. But look at that. It has such a beautiful natural effect. And I just don't get this with other contour products. Obviously, I do prep my skin really well and I've got a decent amount of slip from my skincare. But even with that, a lot of these contour products just grab really patchy, and I never have that issue with the Westman Atelier. Again, I'm just going to quickly swirl my brush on here to take off a little bit of that extra product so we don't have a muddy cheek appearance. Now, I think that all of the parts of my routine have really been the reason why so many people have been complimenting my skin and saying that it looks so fresh and luminous and what am I doing differently? But I do think there is one product in particular that can really give you that effect, and that is the Super Loaded Tinted Highlighter from Westman Atelier. I have this shade Peau de Rose, which is, it's a slight pinkish sheen going on here. I like to use my finger for the application of this, and I'll show you why. I go in on the upper part of my cheekbone, and I like to pat this in. There are some slightly larger shimmer particles in this, but I don't really feel bothered by that. I think I used to, and now I just kind of accept it. But I want you to look. I mean, my skin's got a nice glow because of the base products used. But there is something about the way that the light catches this that is so ethereal. and it really adds a nice volume to your cheek. Add some on this side. I also like to apply this product before my blush because I find that it adds a really nice amount of slip, and there's something about the way that this lays underneath blush that has this very natural looking effect. But it is absolutely stunning. I mean, I have had so many people compliment my skin and ask me what I'm doing differently since I started using this. Now I'm going to use the cream blush from Peau in the shade 1, which is this gorgeous sort of warm pink, and it's very subtle, but they do have a slight shimmery sheen. It's very, very fine. I'm going to swatch a little bit of this on my hand for you to see, and I'm also going to show you another option that I really, really like. But when you blend this out, it has such a luminous, dewy, plump look on the skin, which I love so much. And because, again, it's Peau, it wears really, really well. The other option that I really like is Westman Atelier's Petal in the Baby Cheeks line, which clearly I have a theme. I really like a warmer pink on my skin tone. This one does not have any shimmer compared to the Peau. It's a little bit deeper. Also really, really gorgeous though. Easy to blend formula, just like the contour stick. For today though, I'm going to be using the Peau. I am just patting my brush into here. I got quite a bit on here. I'm actually going to prime a little bit of that off on my hand so it doesn't start out too strong. I'm going to just look at my cheek, the apple of my cheek, staying a little higher on the apple, but I find that actually following the shape of my face instead of trying to be overly trendy with my placement of blush and contour and that sort of thing looks the best on me. I don't have a flat cheek surface. Look how gorgeous this color is. It's so natural, warm, pretty fresh pink, and because it also has a little bit of luminosity, it brings a really nice volume to your cheeks. I like to pull my blush back a little bit. I find that it gives me a kind of lifted, sculpted effect. I just love how blush plays with the super loaded highlighter from Westman Atelier. You can even pull it a little bit higher and closer to your eyes if you like more of a kind of summery, sun-kissed look. Stunning, so fresh. I absolutely love this combination of products. I think that it all just plays so well together. The next product that I'm going to use is a newer product to me, but I think you'll understand why I'm including it in this video once you see the performance of it. I happened to see this on TikTok. This is the Hourglass Vanish Airbrushed Pressed Powder. I grabbed the shade Translucent. So it comes with this little sponge applicator, and normally I don't care for this type of applicator. I usually use a brush for my powder, but let me show you why I think this is so incredible. Make sure I don't have any concealer creasing before we go in and do this, because you don't want to set those creases into your face. I'm going to get some product on here, and I want you to look at my under eye, the one that I start with, and compare it to the other. We'll do this one because I do have a little line that kind of pops up under my eye there. I'm just going to press this in. Go around my nose, really sticking to the center of my face. Please look at the difference. It flattens out that hollow space that I tend to get under my eye. It is so incredibly finely milled. I don't know that I have ever used a powder that does that. So you can see it's much more obvious. You get that shine and kind of a glow under the eye where that hollow is. Just come in and press, concentrating again more towards the center of the face, where I tend to get oily. what is this? Like, this stuff is truly, I think, so incredible. And I've avoided a lot of powders in the last few years because they tend to look just cakey. But look at that. My skin looks airbrushed. I'll bring a little bit more of this to the center portions of my face. I mean, I think this is the most phenomenal powder formula I have ever used. It's incredible. Like, stunning. Now that I'm blonde, I personally like a little bit more of a bronzy glow on my face, so I'm going to use my Guerlain. This is the shade Light 04. It's called Deep Cool. And you can see it's obviously well loved. I feel like I have had this forever and I'm still going on it. So I take my Guayudo brush. This is their blush brush, the premium series. Get a decent amount on here. I'm going to tap a little bit off so it's not super strong when I apply it. I love to start close to my hairline. And I like to give my forehead a nice dusting of this because that is where I do tend to get a bit of sun. I like to take a bit across the center of my nose because also that is where the sun is going to hit me. A little bit down here just so we have a cohesive look down the face and neck. I haven't even gotten to eyes or lips, and I feel like already this is just such a great solid base routine. I could just throw this on, put on a little lip gloss, and like go about my day and feel pretty confident with how my face looks. Let's move into some eye work. I'm going to start with the Eye Base Essentials from Trish McEvoy. I have the shade Sand. I have found with this, I personally like to apply a bit of this to my finger, like so, and then pat it on my eyes. I feel like when I apply it directly onto my eyelid, I oftentimes get too much product. So I've got just a little bit here. I'm going to rub it between my two fingers and then apply. As you can see, this is a really nice light eye base. And what I like so much about this one is that it helps to cancel out any blue veins that I see in my eyelids. And it gives a really nice bright effect. You could even do the whole base and then add this and be done. What I also love so much about this formula is that it has an oil absorbing quality to it. So it helps to set your eye makeup so it's not going to move or crease on you throughout the day. But if you tend to have mascara transfer issues, especially on your upper brow bone, there's something about this product that really does seem to prevent that from happening. Really just cancels out any discoloration and gives you a nice fresh canvas. For my eye look lately, I've been keeping it super, super simple. What I have been doing is taking my Guerlain bronzer, get a nice fluffy, somewhat loosely packed brush so that you can get a really nice soft diffusion of color. I'll swirl a little bit on here. And then I keep my eye open because my eyes are pretty deep set. And I see where I need to create a little bit of a shadow and some depth. Like so. This is also just such a great way to tie your whole face together by having this color also flowing across your eyes. And then the next thing I like to do, and I've done this in quite a few of my videos, is I will take that fluffy brush and I pinch it so I get a flat brush. And I will do a little bit just on my lower lash line. It just adds that extra little bit of depth around your eye without being too dark or heavy. Now this next product is one that I had wanted for a very, very long time. I had a different shade for quite some time, and that is the little Luminescent eye shades from Chantecaille, and I finally got the shade Pangolin. So I had elephant because I love elephants, but pangolin is this gorgeous lilac-y, super, super shimmery formula. I personally don't like using a brush with this formula because I find that I get a little bit more fallout with those sparkles. So what I like to do with this is simply take my finger, rub that across the pan till I get a nice coating. You can do that if you want to get off any extra little sparkles. And then I start at the center of my lid and I press and pat. And because I have that Trish McEvoy eye base on there, it grabs really beautifully. I just absolutely love this color in particular, having green eyes. I think that it's a really soft complementary color. Such a beautiful, beautiful formula, beautiful color. I absolutely treasure and cherish this eyeshadow. I'm going to use one of my absolute favorite eyeliners. This has been a staple in my kit ever since it first launched, and that is the Best Pencil in the shade Brown from Jones Road Beauty. Now, because my eyes are somewhat deep set, you don't see a ton of my eyelid, so I tend to keep this concentrated on like the outer third of my eye. And so I'm going to start applying this very close to the lash line and then taper that where I want it to stop. And then I'll kind of go up underneath almost and flick that up and then use my nail to drag. So I get a very subtle wing. I don't really like a really strong wing on me anymore. I used to really love that, and with getting a little bit older and your eyes shift and change a bit, I just don't find a really strong cat eye to be as flattering on me anymore. I've liked doing my eyeliner like this because it's kind of like the idea of a cat eye, like a whisper of a cat eye. Now that I've got it on the top, what I like to do is take it really on the bottom quarter. I don't go very far in on this at all, and I will smudge it a little bit, but adding this little bit of extra definition under your lashes, it just makes your eyes look a little bit larger. And because it's in brown, I find that it's very soft and forgiving. I personally am not a huge fan of black eyeliners on myself anymore unless I'm going to use it on my waterline or if it's a liquid formula, because I find that black pencils throughout the day, if they move and smudge and transfer, it just makes me look really tired and unkempt. But brown is very, very soft, and even if it smudges a little bit, it kind of smudges into a skin tone type shade. There's that. Now I'm going to fluff a little bit of a brow gel through my brows. I don't do too much to my brows because I have nano brows, so I'm using my Clé de Peau eyebrow gel. I talked about this in my Clé de Peau video. I have this shade Auburn, which I'm not a redhead, but we were trying to figure out the best shade for me, and I think that she may have not had blonde as an option because the other shade that she pulled out was like a really dark looking brown. So this was very light, and honestly, I don't use a ton of product on my brows, so the tone is not too much of an issue. It adds a little bit of warmth, but I don't find it to be super unflattering because I do have kind of a golden blonde hair color. I love this formula though. It's very, very lightweight, but it gives me a really, really nice hold. Now we're going to get some mascara on. I'm going to curl my lashes using the Kevyn Aucoin Lash Curler. I'm pretty gentle with curling my lashes. I don't want to cut them off. I have seen that happen. You have to be so careful with lash curlers. This is a really good one, but I'm still cautious. I'm traumatized by what I've seen people go through. I also just want to add this as like a little side note. I used to have extremely long eyelashes because I used serums with prostaglandins in them. And I really started to feel like there was a lot of information coming out about the dangers to eye health by using synthetic hormone-based lash serums. So I don't use those anymore. What I find so interesting is I actually think I prefer my face without my lashes being such a strong focal point. I do use the Ordinary's peptide-based lash serum. I do feel like it helps the health of my lashes, but it does not make them as gigantic as they used to be. But I just think that my makeup, my face, it looks so much more balanced, and I feel like people don't immediately notice my lashes, they notice me. So that's my 2 cents on lash serums. I'm going to prep my eyelashes with this Dior 4D Maximizer. It is a white eyelash primer. As you can see, this little brush is very densely packed. It's silicone. It's also quite soft, so I don't find this to be irritating on my lash line. But I do like to give my lashes a nice coating of this. And as much as I used to want to think that this type of product was overrated and just kind of unnecessary, I find that this one in particular really separates my lashes. It makes them look a little bit thicker, and I get a bit of extra length with it as well. It really grabs onto those little baby fine tips of your lashes. And also, like I had mentioned with the Trish McEvoy product, which helps to reduce eyelash or mascara smudging on me, this also helps your mascara to really grip to your lashes. So you're also going to minimize smudging that way too without having to use a waterproof formula. I like to take my time on this step a bit because I find that when you get your lashes really well separated with this, your mascara goes on and looks so much better. For mascaras, there really have been 2 formulas that I have alternated between, sort of depending on the look and the style that I want. So if I want something a bit more natural, a bit softer, a little more wispy and not quite as defined, I have been loving this one from Westman Atelier. This is their I Want You mascara. This is their second launch, and it has a somewhat chubbier brush. I'm not going to use this formula today, but I'm going to hold it up to my eyes so you can get an idea. It's a pretty fat brush, but it does give me a very soft, elegant, delicately defined sort of lash. The other mascara that I have been using and absolutely loving is the Dior Iconic Overcurl. This mascara, as you can see, there is a curved teddy bear shaped wand. The brush is not quite as thick as the other one. I am going to use this one today just because I think that it is so beautiful. It's a little bit more dramatic. So let's get this on my lashes. Now, I curled my lashes already because since I stopped using prostaglandin-based serums, I feel like my lashes do need a little bit of help curling, but look at that. Isn't it beautiful? What I love so much about both of these formulas is that I think that they just make your lashes look really pretty and sophisticated without ever looking clumpy or like too over the top. And again, I think this kind of comes down to my lash aesthetic preference. I just like something a little more delicate than I used to. But this mascara is absolutely gorgeous. It's such an easy to use formula. It's one that I would definitely repurchase. And it wears beautifully all day. And that could be from the prep work, but I will say I've used this on days where I didn't prep with the eyeshadow base and the mascara primer, and it still looked really good. So I have been skipping putting mascara on my lower lashes because I just feel like it gives my eyes a more lifted appearance, and also throughout the day I don't have to worry about transfer to my bottom lash line, and I just find it wears a lot cleaner. It looks a lot more chic throughout the entire day. I just think that skipping it on my bottom lashes has made a lot of sense for my personal preferences with my makeup. All right, for lips, I get really, really excited because I love this product so much so that I ended up getting a second shade of the kind of overall base look that we're gonna do. But first, I'm going to line my lips using the Jones Road, the lip pencil in the shade Tawny Nude, which they sent this to me and I immediately fell in love because it is such a creamy, smooth formula. And this shade I think is really just, it's not as cool toned as say like Makeup Forever's Endless Cacao. It's not as warm as MAC Spice. It's kind of like a baby between the two. It's really just a great formula. And also with my lip liner, I don't know if this is just getting a little older and some maturity and wisdom, but again, kind of like my lashes, I don't need my lashes to necessarily be the focal point anymore. And I find with lining my lips, I have not been aggressively overlining them. Like, I think there was a period of time that I really tried to do that, and it always looked weird, and it always ended up migrating around my lips and looking like I had just had a cheeseburger. Like, it wasn't cute. My lips just, they don't have a soft enough of a blur between my actual lip and my skin. There is a little line there, and so product just kind of slips off of my lips if I overline too much. So I stick pretty close to my natural lip size at this point, and I think it looks better on me. But look at this color, isn't that pretty? I feel like so much about wearing makeup is really just tailoring things to your face instead of chasing whatever is trending. I think you can adopt pieces of trends. Like Erica Taylor on TikTok, she talks a lot about lining your lips and not going heavy into these corners because it can make your mouth sort of droop. So I think I can adopt things like that without going overboard. Absolutely love this pencil. I think it is so, so beautiful. Now, for the lip product that I get so excited about, I love it so much that I bought another one. And that is the Clé de Peau Rouge Shine. This was the shade Calanth Orchid, which I used in my Clé de Peau video. And then I picked up the shade Heliconia, which is a warmer, brighter pink, which I just thought would be so pretty for summer. I was really, really torn. I thought about getting one of their red shades, but I have so many red lips that I really don't need another red lip formula, although I know I would love it in this particular formula. So if you missed my Clé de Peau video, this is like a lip gloss and a lipstick had a baby. They are very pigmented and they start out much more glossy. Trying to squish that and marry it into my lip liner a bit. Now, the one thing you do have to be careful of with this is making sure there is not too much on that inner portion of your lips because it will transfer to your teeth. You can see a little bit on my finger here. I like to do that too, just kind of like push your tongue through your lips to get any residual that might be too far in on your lip. But I love this formula so much because it is so creamy and it also is very long wearing. I find that I really don't have to touch this up for a while. And what I can also do, because the pigment lasts so well, is if I really just need a little bit of extra moisture after several hours, I can just top it with a little bit of a gloss just to revive it a bit. But it is not like a liquid lipstick that gets really matte and crusty and dry. And that's part of why I love it so much. I've never really been drawn to this really pigmented liquid lip type of formula, but it has such a nice balmy feel while still being really pigmented that it has completely changed my mind on using this type of like a liquid lip. But that is the whole face of products that I am really, really loving. I hope that you're inspired by this list. I hope that you'll pick up a couple of these favorites because they really are tried and true staples that wear so beautifully. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a little thumbs up. That does help other people to find my channel and this video. If you want to see more from me, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I will also put a link down below with my shop list if you want to shop these products. It does help me a little bit as an affiliate link. It's just kind of like a little thank you without costing any extra on top of the products if you're already going to purchase them. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.